Zone.
If I may ask one last question. You had to know this union scheme was doomed to fail.
Yes.
And why did you agree to it?
This is what General Apis asked of me.
What, to be executed?
If I had remained invisible, the truth would stay hidden. I couldn't allow that.
And what if no one believes this truth?
Someone already does.
Tuesday, the 9th of September 2014. My name's Paul.
And mine's Andy.
I know, a little gap there put you off, didn't it? Right, welcome to our Unpenned Show. The Facebook contacts for Andy and I are below this YouTube video that this is now has been turned into. We're a little bit behind. We're not doing them the day after. We're doing the dates on the intros, but I'm doing the shows now in episodes.
Yeah.
So they're not date sensitive, so people don't think, oh, that'll be out of date.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
For those that still think the news is part of your awakening, remember how this started for you, because you were told early on that the news is part of the reason why the major numbers of the population are fast asleep. So I hear and see many people who now think that they can decode the news.
Mm-hmm.
Reacting, that's what they're doing.
Yep.
And they can't stop reacting. And they actually rush to find the next version of news.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a jolly good job for the newspapers, aren't they?
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, they're not getting paid or anything, but they're spreading those news stories that they're given for free around Facebook and anywhere else they can find it.
Yep.
Never once stopping to ask why the stories exist and how the newspapers make any profit from what they allow them to do with them. The bigger picture is the newspapers are part of the habitat environment creation scheme that we're in. And it is very difficult for me to get anyone to believe. You have to see everything for yourself. It's not for me to make you believe anything. I only share, and we only share what we can see and what we've understood so far along the journey. Mm-hmm. And we're not new to this. We've been doing this quite a long time now.
Certainly have.
And I don't know if you, in your own life, if you've tried to change people. I believe that there are many women who marry guys, and you know, in their heads they say, "Oh, I'll change him over time," and usually they're right. Usually that's what happens. But we're not all married to each other, are we? We can't change each other. When we meet, we are what we are.
Yes.
And we either like each other or we blooming jolly well don't.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and do you have a right to change anybody?
Nope.
Not me neither.
No.
That's what equality is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you what to do? And you can't tell me either.
No.
That's equality, regardless of status.
Yep.
I mean, the fancy dress uniforms cock all this up.
Yes.
But in the real world of jeans and T-shirts, we're equal already.
Yep.
The news is the habitat environment changer. And that's what it's designed to do. Mm-hmm. And whatever decode you get from the news, it's written for you to get that. Because it wouldn't exist if it wasn't meant to. And it would be written in such a way that you can have it for free and share it with your tribe.
Yeah.
In other words, decoding the news and sharing it around isn't making things better. Because none of it is you.
No.
You're not thinking for yourself. You're just using decodes that other people have given you.
Mm-hmm.
You've watched a few YouTube videos. You might have even read 1984 or Brave New World. You know, it's taken a long time for us to understand that this is lifelong work for these people. And when they're born into it and they're educated through it, many have known that they will never see its conclusion. But that doesn't matter.
No.
That is not how this works. They are part of the bigger picture,
Yeah.
and they understand that they must take their role in it.
Mm-hmm. They've played their part.
In other words, the books that were written in the 1930s, which many people are raving about now, let's remind ourselves, we're 80 years behind.
Mm-hmm.
If you just decoding that book now.
Decode it that way, yeah.
Let's remind ourselves that people like Skinner and Bertrand Russell and Bernard Shaw, let's remind ourselves how old those books are. And let's just ask ourselves, why are we allowed to buy them?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're still 2 generations behind.
Yeah.
Possibly 3. If that's what we understand at this time.
And some of them are edited versions.
Of course they are. The
Does
reprints.
it
Yeah, exactly.
blatantly says in the front, edited version.
That's right. They've got less pages.
Less
Quite-
pages,
It's quite
yeah.
simple.
They take out the bits that they don't want you to read.
But nobody really...
No.
No one believes that happens, but it does. Tragedy and Hope. Tragedy and Hope started with just over 1,300 pages. But the copy that I've just bought now, for reasons that don't matter, has only got 997 pages in it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, things are removed over time.
Mm-hmm.
History is rewritten. And all these things, people who listen to us will say, yes, we know all that. No, you don't know that. You just know you've been told it.
You're aware of it, yeah.
This is the understanding of the system. Our shows, I think, we can be accused of being at the very basic understanding of how this works. Almost at the beginning of how it works. And I'm okay with that. Because if we're trying to attract people to what we're doing, selling the darkness is never going to be popular. But telling people that it is our own ignorance that primarily has caused where we are today. But the system allows us to blame everybody, mostly who are dead. That's the idea. We can actually blame all the names that are dead, and then we can throw rotten tomatoes at the Punch and Judy show that is given for us to choose from. And it's very hard to say to people, has there ever been a gun to your head forcing you to make the decisions you've made in your life? There never has been a gun, has there? Did you ever read the terms and conditions of anything you signed when you wanted it?
No.
The answer is no, you didn't. Do you actually use the terms of those reckless banks? Look what those banks did to the world in 2008. Without understanding a couple of things that you need to perhaps understand. In 2008, when the financial crash happened, we were clearly told by BBC, state-funded propaganda, Channel 4, mostly state-funded propaganda. Those 2 channels are funded by us, but we have no say in the content, particularly BBC. Completely funded, government, an arm of government. When those banks went bust, we were clearly told by every script that I can think of, these collateral default swaps and credit debt obligations and all sorts of wonderful names, they'd all been packaged up into what we were led to believe was boxes of kind, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They'd been boxed up all together, some good mortgages and lots of bad mortgages.
Yeah.
And as financial instruments, these had been sold around the world to investors who wanted what they saw as good, safe returns over time.
Yeah.
And these had all been, what's the word I'm looking for? Approved, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think the proper word. They've been approved by these agencies who do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And everything was tickety-boo. So the banks sold these financial instruments. Well, they got paid for them, didn't they? Now, every single financial transaction that involves investment always comes with that wonderful strapline. The value of your investments can go down as well as up.
Yes.
Do you think the banks gave them the money back? I'm bloody sure they didn't.
I'm sure they didn't. No.
You see, the banks got paid for what they'd sold. And then the banks claimed that they needed bailing out. So they got paid twice.
Yeah. They did.
So now do we understand a little bit? While the earth or the world was falling to pieces financially, they were drinking champagne and congratulating themselves
They were.
on one of the biggest thefts in history. But we all know that now, don't we? Or we all know the banks, who we're meant to blame. That's who we are meant to blame. And we can talk about the reckless lending of the banks. But what is sat on the other side of the table? A reckless borrower.
The borrower, yes.
The reckless borrower. Who signed the agreement, not a contract,
No.
an agreement, without reading it.
And you agreed it because you wanted the money.
You shook hands because you figured this was an investment, a money box that couldn't fail, couldn't go wrong. So you shake hands, don't you?
You do.
And it's agreed from both sides of the table that actually makes that happen.
Agreed.
Because that banker knows he's going to get paid. And you think you're going to have an investment.
Yeah, benefit
not a
from
home, an investment. The biggest step forward for me was understanding that there never has been a con. There's just been my own ignorance and arrogance.
Yeah.
And my not knowing how the game works. Because I couldn't be asked to read the bloody rules.
Exactly. You can't even call it coercion, can you? Because
I couldn't be asked to read the
no,
rules.
I was just foolish.
Because I watched
Absolutely
television
foolish.
and I figured I knew the rules.
Yeah.
And because of everybody was flocking or herding, that away. You know, we call them loan sharks. Now we know why.
We do, yeah.
Now we know why.
You'd watched a few versions of Del Boy. If you watched Del Boy and Rodney and thought, that'll never happen to me. And it would happen to you all along.
You can't tell people who know stuff, can you? You can't, and we don't try. We talk about what we've seen and the mistakes we've made, and we're a little embarrassed, but we're not too embarrassed to share them.
No,
because
not anymore.
You know, it is the crazy things that we've done that brought us this far, and our ability to laugh at ourselves. You know, I mean, we just have over the years now. We've laughed at it's been a real joy to discover.
Yeah,
but it's been upsetting along the way, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In the early days, it was very, very dark, very, very unpleasant.
It was. My wife's annoyed with me because I did use that line. This time next year, I'll be a millionaire, and she believed me. And
but we all did.
I was only quoting Del Boy, but
she
plays hell about it now. I believed you.
Anybody who says they're not chasing the money, I'll say, okay, I hope you're not. But I think you still might be. Because I don't think the money chasing stops until you're actually floating. Until you've actually got yourself in a position that at the end of each week you have what you might call free time. And it is free time. It's the correct word for it.
Yeah. And
that is that you've paid your masters, and the time that's left is your own. We've said that we think us at the bottom, we're the ones that are practiced on. We're the ones that get given all this stuff first.
We're the stooges, aren't we? Yeah.
We're the ones that go running back to whoever we want to report to about how bad things are going to get next. We have been allowed via YouTube persuasion and shepherding. We've been allowed to learn whatever we want. We can claim the truth's in there somewhere, and to some extent I suppose it is. But it sure is mixed with some very distracting red herrings.
Yeah.
In fact, there isn't three versions of the truth, but everybody says there is. There is his story, there is her story, and there's what really happened. And I don't think we can actually ever know what really happened, because we've got to go with his story or her story. So to claim we know what happened about years gone by and times we weren't there is ridiculous. We always had a problem with the word truth. Now we know why. Because it keeps changing, doesn't it? It's personal. It's what you know and how you've used it and how you've connected it.
Yep.
And we do not claim to have it. We claim to have a version of what makes the most sense right now.
The verses of
Do we believe it? Well, I'm not going to use the word believe. It makes most sense right now.
Yes.
But of course, we're made to fight. And we actually abbreviate in this language the word fight with VS. don't we? We do, don't we?
Yeah.
And what does that VS? What's it short for?
Verses.
Chapter and.
Chapter and verses.
Chapter and verse. Everything is chapter and verse. We sing in verses, we talk in verses, and we call it a version. Yeah, what I have seen, my the verse that I have.
Yeah.
We're made to fight, and let me tell you, one thing that I do know. If you claim to be awake, and everybody who discovers this stuff immediately claims that they are, there isn't any staged awakening. It's just you either are or you aren't. Self-diagnosis. And I know that there is one thing that I look for when someone says I'm awake, and what I look for is, can I get you to argue? Because if I can get you to argue, you're not the same awake as me. Our versions of awake are not going to agree here. If you're still using fluoride toothpaste, our same versions of awake are not going to agree here. If you're going to McDonald's, it's not going to work out this way.
No.
Okay, it's not going to.
No, and I won't be sharing a Coke with you.
Exactly. So there are some simple clues as to how things are going. And I know that there is a whole heap of people who actually think that once they discover the nightmare, because I don't think they're awake at all, once they discover the nightmare, they then create a world that never gets out of the darkness. It's called the Freeman Movement, and apparently you don't have to pay for anything. Apparently you don't have to pay for anything. And I know over the months now I've chipped away at these people, and do you know what? I wish you really well. I think you're nuts. I think they're absolutely nuts. There is no evidence ever of anybody winning. I'm sure that there'll be a parking ticket or two that they've got out of, and I would think that parking ticket, the company they'll have just said, oh, this is crazy, we can't answer this stuff. If we have to get a solicitor in to actually reply to this guy, because we might throw it in the bin. What's 30 quid? Throw it in the bin. All the stuff that I read, and all the people that I've listened to and no longer do, they've never said what I think is what we should be doing. Learn this stuff, calm down, find yourself a few allies, and if you don't replace the people that make the decisions that affect your life, nothing else matters.
No. And just through our escapade last week, we know that we've probably we haven't got a snowball's chance in hell of getting into the positions where you're going to actually affect change. And
but we can, but only at a local level.
I'm going to say, at the local level, it's all your own time, it's free time. There might be an odd perk, there might be an odd, I don't know, expenses paid here and there, but it's you've got to do it for free. It's your own time. There's nobody going to pay you to do this.
Well, you realise now, don't you, that the local council meetings that we go to, no, those people don't get paid at all.
No.
They do not get, they're doing this for status.
Yeah.
All of them are doing it for status, and all of them had sat around that table. They congratulate themselves on doing a good job. When all they've done is sit there.
Trying to get the face in the Gazette.
Yep, and they actually sit and have meetings about who they're going to get to do what they want doing for free.
For free.
And then they're going to have the picture taken and take all the credit from them. Yeah. This is the basis of low-level council.
We need some more volunteers.
They do have budgets. They do have budgets they control. And these are, these are the simple grass cutting contracts and that sort of stuff. And
£300,000 that nobody can find.
Yeah, and front page of the local paper Friday. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, front page. Anyone seen this 300,000 that we supposedly got in January? I know, you'd fall off your chair, couldn't you?
Would, yeah.
But we were there. We heard it. We heard him do it.
We're looking forward to the next week meeting next Monday.
It's October.
Oh, is it? Oh, they changed it to
October the 10th. I think they're having the having a jolly good look round.
Giving them time to search the town hall.
All I do know is that we're gonna, if we don't replace these people, if we don't put forward what would be, apply the pressure. It all starts from the bottom. We can't apply pressure at the top at all. Why are we talking like this? No one's going to do it. No one's going to do it. We said that. We'd like to leave the world a better place, and we've realised that little world is actually just our houses and our finances.
Yeah,
we realised that we're probably saying it a bit wrong, really.
We are.
We shouldn't leave a better world.
No.
We should leave better children.
Yes.
Better children. and we're pretty useless at teaching the kids because we don't now. In my day, right? That doesn't work. The technology difference between you and I and the kids that we have, it's a cavern, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's an absolute. The difference is, I don't understand it anymore.
A little thing happened to me on Friday evening. I've just got to share this with everybody. It was so funny. We were round at the house having pizzas, homemade pizzas, all made from scratch, all ingredients and everything, not the shop bought ones. And my son had invited his girlfriend round. She came round, so the four of us in the house, and we'd finished eating our pizzas, and we were just scrolling through the TV, see what we're on the TV for a chill out Friday night. Matrix Reloaded came on, so we sat watching that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the film, and I was sat there still watching it, and I just looked round the room, and my son, his girlfriend, and my wife were all on the mobile phones, and I just started laughing. I says, am I the only one that's not connected to the Matrix here, but watching the Matrix?
It's device now, by the way. It's not phones on it, the devices.
Yes, they are.
Devices.
Yeah.
Devices.
Get your new device. They had that up in the bank one day.
We all have our vices.
Yeah.
We all have our vices, and that's devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. And then one of the comments that came out of it was my son's girlfriend. She's only 18 and started art college and stuff like that. She's got a job as well, which is working at Gap and putting hours in there. So she's in the world of work. And something must have come up on her phone, news feed must have come up on her phone, and it was about ISIS or Islamic State or
Al-Qaeda,
whatever you
Taliban,
want to call it.
Mujahideen.
And she said,
CIA.
"Oh my God!" And I looked around and said, "What's the matter?" She says, "I'm really scared now." She says, "I don't know what's going to happen with these Islamics that are going around."
This Islamic State or IS or IS or ISIS or whatever.
And I just said, "What have you got to be scared of? Why is?" But the fear, and that's just exactly what it's doing. It's scaring the bejesus out of people.
Well, it is scaring the bejesus out of people because they don't know nothing now.
No.
And Jesus is I knew.
It is.
And nobody has ever told you that decode before except me. Nobody. It is so simple. And stimulus is the word goad in Latin. And this is the stimulus. This is they goad you into it.
Yeah.
All right. It's so simple to understand. And it starts right when you're a child. It starts with the Father Christmas story. The Father Christmas story is a brilliant analogy of how this system works, because brilliant as well. When you're little, let's imagine you've got a brother, you've got a sister, you've got mum and dad, and your uncles and your aunties, okay? And they all support, right, the illusion that Father Christmas is going to come down the chimney and deliver the presents on Christmas Day if you're good. They all know it's not true. Okay? But for you and you only, they support it all. And because of the commercial aspect of Christmas now, Father Christmas is placed in strategic locations, primarily school, shopping centres, Christmas cards, and of course on television.
And church.
Yeah. So you actually you never even think of questioning about Father Christmas's reality and is he genuine, because everybody around you says he is. And he delivers you presents. Now let's move that on a little bit. Let's move it on a little bit. Let's widen the scope now, shall we? Because all the people around us who we think are there to help and service our needs, there is a massive number, and I mean a massive number, who know that this is illusion. And they have a vested interest in maintaining the illusion, because this is the Satan clause. This is where they've signed over themselves to the system. They can be of use to nobody else. And this is the Satan clause, and they know they're in it. And they're okay being in it. Because Satan has delivered them the presents as well, when they're good and they do as they're told. Now they maintain the illusion by delivering you a present. And it's the present you get every day, because a present and a gift is the same and they deliver you your present every single day, and they've got a vested interest in maintaining that illusion so they can get their present at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if nobody that's how this works.
Mm-hmm.
That is how it works. And they place their present in newspapers, televisions, films, DVDs, magazines, in the supermarkets, in the schools, and through all other media outlets.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you what the present is, because you get one off them every day. This is the present. And we never once stop the music
No.
and unwrap it, do we?
It, no.
We keep playing the dance of
Yeah.
blind man's bluff, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
They have us wandering around, but careering into this and careering into that. Flipping heck.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand it, do we?
Nope.
Around us is an entire control system. Police, judges, teachers of a higher rank, counsellors, right? They've all been promoted into positions of control because they are controllable. These are weak. The weakest of the lot get given the most power, but they're always promoted into positions that they don't know anything about what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, to maintain the illusion that the housing minister or the health minister or the foreign minister, to maintain the illusion and get paid, they have to advisors.
Yes.
And they advisors, so they're told. The scripts are written, they're closed, they're driven everywhere. All the meetings are all scripted. In other words, if you think you're enslaved, believe me, it is nothing to what they are.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is obvious now that we are controlled by a deviant level of society. These people are deviants at the very least, and paedophiles and necrophiliacs at the very worst.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay now because we've been told about the dead ones.
Yes.
It's okay. We're all right. The dead ones are all right. We can fuss and fight over those, and we can go through everything.
Yeah, we didn't catch them, but they're dead now.
Now,
so
it was 2 shows ago, I think, that we played the Badil and Skinner, wasn't it, from 2000.
Mm.
It was from June 2000.
June 2000.
And that was when them two used to sit on the sofa and just chat.
Yeah.
And it was basically a football theme type thing, but it was just open house, really.
Yeah.
Open forum. And we played the Victorian sexual values clip, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the insinuation of Jimmy Savile having sex with dead people.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about that in June 2000. Now, what do you make of that? What do you make of that? I mean, they knew he was having sex with dead people in 2000, or at least
obvious.
They were prepared to repeat what they'd heard.
They were.
That he was having sex with dead people in
and
2000.
No lawsuit or anything was. To my
and
knowledge,
nothing happened, did it?
Nope, not a thing.
Now, it's easy for us to actually blame, I've said there's a whole level of society that is colluding to create the present for us, and it's nothing but an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, and there is, make no mistake, there is. Now, they are compartmentalised. In other words, they don't actually maybe understand as much as you are listening, but they know enough. They know not to upset. And the editors in all major newspapers are they're the people. They are the ones. They are the ones. Just like the BBC. The BBC is an arm of government. It's never critical overly of government, but it's critical enough for us to not hear that it's not really criticising. I mean, what did I see recently? I saw it's about cops. It was a cops programme. And it was the incident that I'm talking about is they always make these programs about how cops are caring, sharing, kind, and they're only doing the job type stuff, you know. And this is one of those programs, and I saw about 10 minutes of it. And these 2 female police women were cruising around looking for, looking for whatever. And I don't remember which town centre it was. It doesn't even matter. And they stopped a gentleman who was driving at least a 10-year-old Peugeot or a Citroen. It was a small car. And it was an old car. It was just old. It wasn't in the best condition by any means. And they'd stopped him because they'd spotted that he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. So they pulled him up, and the cameras blurred his face out. But you could see in the car he had a baby seat in the back. They asked him to get out of the car, go through the ritual of driving licence, haven't got one. He wasn't happy at being pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they said, look, we can't we can't let you off with a warning anymore. We're not allowed. That exonerates them then.
Yeah.
Okay, so they gave him his 60 quid ticket. But because he was a little bit blasé and a bit napped, I was just reaching over to change the stereo, and he was trying all the ways of getting out of it. Okay, but he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. Because he was being a bit difficult with them, one of the police women was talking to him, and the other one, okay, she decided to inspect his car. But the edit was done like this, where he was being difficult, and then the second policewoman, she was obviously the superior officer. The edit was done where she said, we have to take care of people like this. We have to see that their car is safe, not only for them, but for the pedestrians who might be walking on the path in the city centre. And when I actually walked around his car, I found a damaged tyre with a tear in the tyre wall. Now the tyre was still inflated, but the actual tyre wall had like a rip in it. And this is something that we have to write a ticket for this. This is very, very dangerous. This tyre, these people have never been to the accidents that we've seen. We've seen such horrific accidents of people driving around with tyres just like this. And it might seem we're being a little bit harsh on him, but we're doing it for his own good. There's a baby seat in the back there. God forbid he would have an accident with the baby in. We need to point this out to him. Then we went back to the guy and the first policewoman. Second one walked up. She starts writing him a ticket for the tyre. Okay, so it's 60 quid for the no seat belt. Yeah. She starts writing another ticket for another 60 quid for the damaged tyre. Right, and they're he doesn't like it, but in the end, with a bit of female persuasion, okay, he accepts both tickets. The edit then goes to them to say, that's why we do it. We actually do this because we care about people. Don't think we care, and at the end of the day, we jolly well do care. Safety is paramount. Now he's actually just got in his car behind him, right? Got in his bloody car and driven off down the street with the defective tyre that they're so scared of that might only harm him, his baby, and cause an accident, but they've got 2 lots of 60 quid out of him. But he's driving down the road, and the last thing they said to him, don't let us catch you again, will you? We don't do this for the money, it's for this public safety. 120 quid, ka-ching, right? If they actually meant public safety, right, what would they do? Yeah. They'd have escorted, they'd have said to him, look, that is, I could write you a 60 quid ticket here, but we're more interested in your safety, your baby's safety, the public safety. So I actually want you, if you'll agree with me, I want you to drive slowly to the nearest garage and let's have that tyre changed. I don't want to take you 60 quid. I want you to keep the 60 quid so you can change that tyre. Because I know if I take 60 quid for your belt off you and 60 quid for your tyre off you, you probably won't have enough money to actually replace that tyre today. Now, I don't want to do that. Can you replace that tyre today? Shall we go and get it done? In the real world, that's what she'd have done.
That's what she should have done, yeah.
They had no intention of ever doing that. No intention at all.
Not at all.
Openly admitted that they actually have credit limits to 3,000 points it is. 3,000 points a month they have to. It's not for the money, though. It's for our own safety. Yeah. Safety. And I know the watching public.
Safety targets.
The watching public, yeah. They'll be nodding their heads, and yeah, he's got a baby seat in the back. The guy didn't even know his tyre wall was ripped. You can't know. I mean, it's something's ripped it. Whether it be a stone, a twig, a branch, a piece of glass, or whatever he's run over.
That night, you might not have known, no.
It could happen to anybody.
Yeah, at any time.
But if the police really cared, if they really cared, did they take them to a garage and eliminated the danger?
They would.
They would have removed the danger from the road.
Exactly.
No, they took 60 quid out of him.
There's a story. A story about a boy and a dog. A fine, healthy boy comes across this dog, but the dog is near starvation. And the dog says to the boy, where do you get your food? How do you stay so healthy? Well, I have a job. I work nights guarding the house of an owner of a house. And for this he gives me food. And if you come with me and help me, he will probably give you food too. So the dog thinks this is a good idea. They set off together. On the way, the boy's sweating. He lifts up his shirt to mop the sweat from his brow. And the dog sees on his back these lash cuts. He said, "Where did you get those?" And the boy said, "Well, if I fall asleep on the job, the owner beats me." The dog says, "I'm leaving." And why? He said, "Because I'd rather have starving freedom than fat slavery."
And do you know what?
I thought this was a good idea. And he left. And he was never seen again.
Do you know what? That's what we've got, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We've actually got fat slavery, haven't we?
Yeah.
In fact, I reckon if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could make a really good case that we're being killed with kindness.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon I could do that.
Yeah.
I reckon that I could say, let's look at society. Let's look at it, shall we? And let's not shout and bawl at each other. Let's just look at it in a way that perhaps is uncomfortable for some people. Are there any people starving in this country? And the answer is, well, no. Not starving as such. Not everybody's a financial expert. But a lot of people think single mums and old people. And I accept. Single mums and old people, they are, they do find things hard. But it's no use shouting at the result. We have to understand how we bloody well got here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where people actually don't get it properly. You can't shout at a result, because it's not going to change, is it?
No.
No matter how many times you shout at the result, you have to understand where it all went wrong. And I don't claim that I know exactly where it all went wrong. I can only say my own experience. We have an entire society who use words love and trust and haven't a clue what they actually mean. They demand it from others, but don't supply it themselves. You ask someone to actually describe what love is, and they're going to struggle, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
The simpletons will say, "Oh, it's just a feeling, I'll know when I'll find it." That'll be lust, won't it? That'll be lust. That's where you've met somebody you want. Love isn't something on the outside. Love isn't on the outside of the world for you to find. Love is what you have to offer to somebody who recognises what it is you have to offer. So what you got? What's inside the packet that is you? That's what I've learned along this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what I've got. It's not what I'm going to have. And it's not the dreams that I'll share with those that want to listen. It's what's on the inside.
Yeah.
And a lot of people listen and say, yeah, I know that, yeah. How's the love game going?
Mm-hmm.
How's the love and trust game going? Because it's messed up, isn't it?
Certainly is.
We've got girls who act like boys and boys who act like girls. And they think sex is love. And you can tell they think sex is love, because when they've had sex, they say, "I love you."
Mm-hmm.
So you know that we got a problem here, because the two things don't belong in the same sentence at all. We're a long way wrong, and we're educating our 6-year-olds about homosexuals, same-sex couples, and the correct terminology to use for the differences between mummy and daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a little article by what's her face, that Ulrika Johnson, saying that she thought it was a wonderful idea that we were teaching 6-year-olds about sex. What do you think?
I think they should be still playing in the sand and discovering other things.
I think so myself. I truly believe you. I mean, I know at 6 and 7 years old, you are a little. I mean, little boys are rather curious about what this little thing's for.
Yeah, we've all seen it, haven't we?
Yeah.
You can show me mine, I'll show you yours.
They do put their hands down the trousers.
These things happen because you're curious.
Yeah, and
but it should go no further than that.
Well, I'm reading a book by Skinner, B.F. Skinner, and I know he's part of the establishment. And it's also written in a way that I'm having trouble actually understanding what he's saying. Very psychoanalytic, very much mind-bending stuff, very much forget what you know about the human psyche, listen to what I think it is. And I don't agree with him, but I'm reading these things, not because I want to agree with him, because I want to learn. And I can't learn when all I'm surrounding myself is books that say, you're right, Paul, you're right, Paul, you're right, Paul. Let's read that book and prove how much more you learn about what, you know. No, the way to learn is to listen to people who don't agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the best fun you can have. Now, I don't know much about Mr. B.F. Skinner, apart from he writes books that are quoted by others that have read them. And I keep hearing his name, so I thought I would read one. Not enjoying it at all, because I don't understand it. Because it's making me think in a way that I don't think is appropriate. In other words, whatever you think you are, you're not. I'm going to tell you what you are. Now, this is very simple to understand, that someone's trying to take you away from comfort and towards them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got very far in the book, so I can't go much further yet. But it's proving to be a very difficult read. The one thing that I do know is that he does say change the environment. You can't change the person without changing the environment.
Mm-hmm.
When you change the environment and change the thought processes, the change becomes they change themselves. They change themselves to adapt. The one thing that we do know is that the human beings are possibly the most adaptable animal, or whatever we want to call ourselves, on the planet. Within 2 or 3 weeks, we can accept our new little lot. And certainly since my entire lifetime, I can see now, over time, new normals have been coming all the time, haven't they?
Mm.
Now, that was normal, but this is normal now.
Yeah.
Now, that used to be normal, but this is normal now. And we thought that was progress. We thought that was the modernisation. You know, I found myself even saying to my mum, getting into debt is just the way it's done nowadays. You know, don't criticise me for getting into debt. That's how it's done nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't start a business without debt. You can't do... I thought I knew stuff. I fell flat on my face and found out different, but I remember thinking my mum didn't know what she needed to in this brave new world that I was living in. She was, of course, right, but the house prices had gone up so far, and my expectations had been too high, so I figured that, you know, my world now, can't go wrong. Didn't work out well, but that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
We all do that, don't we?
Yes.
We all do, to an extent we do.
Yeah.
You and I are the same age, and we've gone through what would be the same sort of cycles, the ups and downs, haven't
Yeah, we certainly have, yeah.
And it's all been the money trick, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've actually been tricked.
Yes.
And we accept we've been tricked by people who were magicians.
Mm-hmm.
And magicians tell you they're going to deceive you,
Yeah.
and then they do, and then you give them a round of applause and pay them.
Yeah.
Brilliant, isn't it?
I know you've got, I think we've played it in previous shows, that nice clip about 1930s cartoon. And
The Chicken Little one.
No, the one with and he comes out with the contract.
Oh, the isms.
The isms.
I'll
that's
find it. I'll
yeah,
find
yeah.
it. Yeah, the isms.
Yeah, that's a good little clip.
I actually
1930s.
would say to people, if you want to learn a little bit about how this is done, and you perhaps want to find alternative methods on YouTube, because I believe YouTube coerces you certain ways.
Yeah.
It really does want you to go down this path, that path, that
Mm-hmm.
path, that
does,
path.
yeah.
And it never stops saying, why not watch
Look
this?
at this, look
Why
at
not-
this,
yeah,
look at
exactly. YouTube's good, but you have to find something that you're interested in and take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
In children's cartoons and children's books is encoded what they are going to be exposed to in their lifetimes.
Yeah.
And it is encoded in cartoons, and it's brought into reality over the time.
Yes.
And you know what you're watching at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, whether you subconsciously noticed it or not, it's how you accept the world as it changes, because you were told in cartoons from a very early age. We don't understand very much about ourselves, but the one thing we know is we don't know very much about ourselves.
No.
We thought we did,
Mm-hmm.
and now we know we don't really.
The thing that I've taught myself to do is listen. I was listening before, but I wasn't hearing.
Correct.
Hearing and hearing is they're two different words, but they sound the same. And two little things that coincided with the Friday night pizza and Lewis's girlfriend saying she was scared. And I was saying, "What are you scared of?" And the fear mongering that goes on. And two things, and this movement tells you twitch off the TV, don't listen to this, that, and it's all propaganda.
Well,
When you start listening it and
just listen to me.
piecing the
Just
pieces together,
Just listen to me.
Yeah.
Just listen to me. Just listen to me.
and
So and so's a bad guy. So and so's a bad guy. Socialist, Marxist,
Keep going.
communist,
Yeah.
socialist, Marxist, communist. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them.
No.
Don't listen to them. Honestly, some people that I actually sort of take a little bit of interest in what they're up to, just give them a gun. Just give them a gun and just shoot anybody who's just shoot them all.
yeah.
I mean, to an extent, it might be a solution, but it's not going to work for us that way, is it?
No, and
It's not going to work.
the kids' programmes slowly catch the monkey, leading them on. Radio 4, listen to it during the day, love it. And there was, in the same day, you could not, in the morning, they were talking about the news and the Islamic State, and there were thousands of people of the Islamic faith leaving this country and going to Syria and Afghanistan and Iraq,
Was there really?
and they're leaving
Was there really?
to join
Was there really?
the IS
Because Radio 4 says so.
Radio 4 says so, and the majority of those were women. The alarming thing was it was the women that were joining the jihads. And then later on in the afternoon, they're interviewing lorry drivers.
I know what you're saying.
Coming across.
They're sneaking it back at lorry when I'm not
Yeah.
looking.
Oh.
And luckily the BBC had pictures. Okay, they're over 10-foot fences.
Yes.
You saw the one with the woman in the little car, didn't you?
And they're mostly brown people and from an Islamic
I'll
background.
tell you what we should do.
So which
we
is
should
it?
We should actually set up, right, what we need to do is we need to tell people, remember we're all cooperations here, what we need to do is we need to tell people that all the banks are going to move the call centres to India, okay, because it's to save money. Now that will really upset the people who work the call centres in England, okay, and the best thing is that the people over there in the banks who represent the banks in India, right, they can't understand the word we're saying, we can't understand the word they're saying, and eventually people will give up calling the banks and they'll be so annoyed with brown people they're taking the jobs.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
The banks get to save money. They don't have to deal with
No
problems.
complaints.
Everything's done online. Everything's done online, and we can just rag them to death
Yeah.
because they know they're being called by brown people.
Forget them, yeah.
So how about let's do that, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Because has anybody ever bought anything from a Muslim who's rang them up? But I haven't bought anything from a white person who's rang me up and selling me gas electric either.
No.
But what we'll do is we'll interrupt the day, we'll annoy them to death, we'll ring them knowing darn well that they're not going to buy it, but let's just keep ringing them. And let's keep ringing them some more, and let's annoy them to death. Because while we're annoying them, they can't settle, and they always think it's somebody else's fault that their life's not going well. The people at the bottom are the most experimented on of all of us,
Yeah.
and that'll be us.
It will, yeah.
Everything we've learned has been allowed, placed for us to learn. Whichever path you go down, you always find the same discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
Not Channel 4, Radio 4 are talking about the legal fiction now, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Okay, now we discovered the legal fiction some years ago, and now Radio 4 is starting to introduce it to their customers.
A half-an-hour programme on it all. It linked in. They had a half-an-hour programme last week, and that was about the religion and evolution.
I think they listen to our shows, by the way.
How they've removed
Because
the key
everything,
from evolution
because
to
when we
religion.
keep saying stuff, right, we hear it elsewhere, just after we bloody well said
They
it.
do, yeah. And then this week on about the legal fiction and how companies get to be limited companies and.
But anybody who's listening to this will say, the legal fiction, yeah, we know all about that, we know about that. It's a complete scam.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
So you
No,
don't have-
it's not a
It
complete
means you don't
scam.
have to pay your bills.
Apparently free lunches all round. Right? It's not a complete scam. It's just you didn't know about it.
No.
Yes, it's a conspiracy. No, it's not a theory. Yes, it exists. Why does it exist? It exists so we can do business with corporations.
Yes.
And it can do business with us.
Those.
It was the developing of a taxable system of business.
Yes.
Commerce, as they called it at the time.
Yeah.
The word commerce can be translated into sex, basically.
Yeah.
And our Congress, commerce and Congress are the same thing. It is sex, and it is. They
It
are.
is to do the business.
They're effing us over,
Yeah.
but they know they are.
Yeah.
The legal fiction is something that people should be aware of, because it's part of who you are. You can't do business without it. Now, I know our shows actually sound like that we agree with the system. No, we don't agree with it. No, we don't. We don't agree. If I had to put into 2 words what's wrong with all of us, bad education.
Yes.
That's what's wrong with us. We have an entire society of adults voting for adults to look after their best interests.
Yeah, we're fat slaves. As
this was never going to go
dog
well,
said.
was it?
No.
It was never going to go well over time. To begin with, perhaps it started well. Over time, adults voting adults to look after and govern them is always going to end the same way.
Yeah.
The very worst in society are going to wheedle their way to the top with help from whoever. Everything around us is shouting at us to change our ways.
Yeah.
I actually make a claim. Everything is asking us to learn, understand, and transmit.
Yeah.
Calmly and coolly. If we're not prepared to replace those that govern our lives, then nothing else is of real interest.
No,
nothing else matters.
No, it doesn't really.
The alternative systems you can set up don't bloody matter.
No.
On my Facebook page tonight was apparently brand new news that's 6 years old from somebody who should know bloody better. From somebody who should know a lot better. And if they don't know a lot better, why don't they? The only person you can trust is yourself. And there is nobody else after that, unless you say there is. And as long as you've earned their trust and they've earned yours, then good for you.
Yeah.
This journey isn't actually for anybody else, is it?
No.
It's actually for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about anything else.
And it's not the same for everybody.
The news is not going to help you with the journey.
No.
The news didn't help you before you discovered this. It's not going to help you now. It'll annoy you, frustrate you, and nobody will be listening. And
reiterate things, but then you sit back then and ask yourself, I'm being coerced here. Why do I know this stuff? And why can I decipher it? And why can I pick the bones out of it?
Yeah.
Why? Why now?
Because it's been released.
Yeah.
It's been practiced on us. They've had a good 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of watching our reactions. We can talk about the gurus and we can talk about whether we believe them or not. Doesn't matter. We're way past all that rubbish now.
Yeah.
We're able to decide for ourselves what we're okay with, and we use a lot of sense to do that. And what makes most sense is that most people aren't doing it, aren't getting this at all, are they?
No.
Think for yourself. And everyone says, I do think for myself. Say, go on, then give me something. Give me something.
Yeah.
Give me something you've thought for yourself if you do. But that doesn't go well, does it?
No.
Because they can't. Or they lie. It's a copy and paste generation.
Yeah.
And you find yourself doing it and pretending you don't. I don't, I think this. And you're copying.
You are.
What's allowed us to do this is the actual confidence to speak out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Facebook's not speaking out. Leaving comments on YouTube's not speaking out.
No.
It's not real. It's not real unless you say it. When you say it, you've now declared what you think is real. Everything else is illusion. Remember those days? I never thought you and I would sit here and do a radio show like this.
No.
But we chose to.
Yeah.
Why? Because we can do it. Remember the few weeks we've had off? Your brain doesn't work the same, does it?
It doesn't.
It doesn't work the same, does it?
No.
It knows it's not going to a party. It knows it's not doing the radio show. So it doesn't do it, does it?
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't do it.
It goes into standby mode.
It does, doesn't it?
All these gadgets that we've got
are all counterfeit us.
They are. The persona,
They're
the
all
vehicle.
Counterfeit. Yeah. Persona and vehicle is something that people, I hope, will soon pick up on.
And you, the one thing that you haven't said, or did you say, but we were talking off air, and it's all breathing in and breathing out, isn't it?
Yep.
It's all taking a breath and exhaling.
Yep.
And when you breathe in, you get bigger, and when you exhale, it goes smaller.
Yep.
Expand and contracting.
It's just the same thing. The system does that.
And the vehicle, the car you drive, if you can drive,
It breathes in.
it does.
It
And
does.
it needs fuel. It's got a brain that runs it.
It's water cooled.
It needs
Okay.
steering.
It's water cooled.
Yes.
Right. It's got its vision at the front end with its wipers so you can see.
Mm-hmm.
It's water cooled.
It's got
Electronically controlled, organically powered, and the exhaust comes out the back.
and mirrors to see where you've been.
We have the Sun Mirror Star system, don't we, the red tops, and they've got the watches.
Yeah.
But who's watching the watches?
Mhm.
We don't know.
Oh, no.
It doesn't matter about the rest, does it? We don't worry about the rest,
No.
and the rest is everything.
Mm.
We worry about what we're going to do,
Yeah.
what we're going to get involved with,
Mm.
and how much can we actually change at this level here.
Mhm.
Are we getting better at communicating? Well, we try by doing this. It's hard because it's not for everybody. The majority of people who listen to this perhaps will never get anything more from it. I mean, we had a lovely comment left just on the YouTube channel. I've left it up. I've
Yes.
left it up. It's someone who claims that we're racist, too thick white northerners. Think about the mentality that would leave that comment, you know? Why do you feel the need to criticise when you have nothing to counter with?
No.
Back to his channel, look at his subscribers, look at what he's into, look at what he's involved with.
Mhm.
Right? It's without even knowing who this is.
Yeah.
Would he actually be someone that we'd ever associate?
No. And he doesn't
No.
know us from Adam. So how we can leave a comment like that?
But you see what I mean?
No idea.
Yeah, but the actual psychology of this is
Yes.
he felt able to leave that comment.
Mm.
He felt able to be rude at the very least, and more, well, unpleasant. But it doesn't matter. I've left the comment up. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
The grammar's good.
Well,
And it's punctuated very well.
who is that? And why? You say to yourself, who is it and why did they do it? And then you have to stop there
Mm.
because they aren't here to answer.
No.
You see, I always think about leaving comments. If you can't leave a positive one,
Mm.
then ask yourself why you're leaving one anyway.
Why are you leaving one like
Now,
that?
are you wanting to put them down so you feel bigger?
Mm.
Are you wanting to challenge them so you feel bigger?
Mhm.
Or do you actually leave a comment that says, I think that's wrong and I'm going to tell you why? You see?
I like where he puts in northern racists. I thought that were quite funny.
So he's a regional racist.
Oh dear.
We
You couldn't
are
make it up,
so
could you?
lost, aren't we? So lost. So. I don't know how to deal with this sort of stuff apart from laugh.
Well, and I'm glad we're entertaining them. I'm glad they're having a laugh as well.
I'll be listening again for the comedic value.
Yes, it's not at our expense, honestly.
Where is thy salute for presenting yourselves on this battlefield? I give you thanks. This is our army. To join it, you give homage. I give homage to Scotland. And if this is your army, why does it go? We didn't come here to fight for them. Oh, the English are too many. Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace. William Wallace is 7 feet tall. Yes, I've heard. Kills men by the hundreds. And if he were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse. I am William Wallace. And I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men. And free men you are. What will you do with that freedom? Will you fight? Right? Against that? No! We will run! And we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days, from this day to that, for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Well, welcome back then to the last few minutes, last 10 minutes or so of the show. I was going to ask sort of your advice on Scotland. I mean, how do you feel about the Scottish leaving the Union?
Do you know what?
We're not being asked, are we?
We aren't.
They
No.
couldn't care less what we think.
Good luck to them if that's what they want.
I would like to get England out of the Union myself.
Yes.
I think we should leave.
I think we should leave Europe myself. Let us get on with it in our own way.
The question I would like to ask is, all right, whose money they're going to use? They've got two choices. They can either have the Scottish version they've got now by the Bank of England, okay, or the Euro stuff from the European Central Bank. That's the two choices, all right? I know they reckon they will not mint it themselves. They're going to have to get it from one bank or another.
What about Bitcoin?
I have been researching Bitcoin because although I know it fits the bill so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it fits perfectly.
It's trackable, traceable, chargeable, taxable. Every transaction is recorded, never forgotten in the blockchain, and it just fits the bill perfectly for the currency that we didn't see coming. Yeah. Bitcoin or something similar is going to be what we're going to be. We're going to have to go for it. We won't have a choice, otherwise we won't be able to do business.
No.
Technology is moving so fast that you and I cannot keep up with it.
Yeah.
The youngsters can keep up with it.
Yeah, it's got to go digital.
What we know to be school in our days is not school for them at all. What we have to share for them on an academic level is not going to be any use to them at all. Their world, all the jobs that you and I know exist now, they're probably not going to exist at all in 2030, 2040 at all.
Nope.
They're going to have to cope with a world that we don't even know, we can't even envisage exists. It's going to be very, very, very different.
Yep.
All we can do is tell them how it works now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you said on last Friday when you were doing, your son and his girlfriend round. It's different now. It's so different that unless we get involved in what they're interested in, we don't have any value to them at all.
No.
And this, of course, is the plan. Because if this system keeps going the way it is, resentment is going to come through.
Yeah.
Now I don't know that narky little comment we got on YouTube. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not.
We're
not affected by it. But what I am doing, I wonder who sent it, and I wonder if they're considerably younger than you and I. I wonder if they have read one or two things because it was well written. The resentment is going to come through.
Yeah.
This system and the poison that it injects slowly into all our systems is that old people have no value, and it's already starting to spread, isn't it? The meme of old people have no value. You mentioned last week about a professor, was it some sort of lecturer, and you almost got him to say that the system evaluates whether they should fix you.
Yes,
we've always known this in our hearts,
we
haven't
have, really deep down. Yeah,
we have some of the dirtiest hospitals in Europe. The NHS, the Death Management Service, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about it at all. Do we want to save it? I don't know. It's so riddled with corruption and bureaucracy. I don't know what's to save. I don't blinking well know. The amount of money we spend per head on the NHS,
it's definitely not good value.
It's nearly £2,000 a head.
Yeah.
Now I do know something. I can get jolly good health insurance for £2,000 a year.
And just proved it with this little baby that with the brain tumour, and they've had to take him out of the hospital. They've only got that through the media. The media coverage has got that little baby, that little boy, to go and have the proton beam therapy, and there were
Not in this country though.
no, there were no Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so
Sorry,
we're
Czech
so,
Republic.
we're
Sorry,
so
showing my
badly
age.
we're so-
Czechoslovakia.
We're so badly travelled
Yeah.
that we don't realise how far behind in the world we are.
No.
We
exactly.
don't understand. We still think that England somehow is the centre of the world.
Yes.
And it's nothing of the sort.
This brilliant NHS that we've got. Have we got proton beam? I'd not heard of proton
No,
beam
me
therapy
neither,
until
but-
the other day.
But I do know that if I need treatment, I'm probably going to go abroad. I'll go elsewhere
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I ain't comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with the hospitals we have in this country.
No.
Not with just with the what's the word I'm looking for? The attitude of the people who work there. I mean, to some extent, and I've been in hospitals, not myself personally, but I've been in and out of hospitals for other reasons, seeing people. The attitude is so not what you're expecting.
No.
The this place would run fine without all you bloody ill people.
Yeah.
It is. It's the Little Englanders. We don't ever see it in a way that perhaps it's shown to us. We're programmed a little bit different to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We're Little Englanders, and we're nasty, spiteful, selfish little castle builders.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't bloody care about anybody else. We're going to build our little world and sod everybody else. Jack Straw said in 2009, the English are a race not worth saving.
He did.
And if we're not careful, we're going to end up sounding like we actually agree with that. I'm not sure I don't. Do you see what I mean?
I know.
We've got to contact, and we've got to get involved with those. There's lots of nice people around.
There are a lot of good
but
people.
they have no idea
No.
what's going on. They don't really want to know what's going
No,
on,
that
because that's what makes them nice people.
exactly. I didn't know why I didn't know what I
But
wanted.
that's what makes
didn't
them nice people,
want to know what was going
because
on.
they think the
Yeah.
world is a lovely place.
You do. You think it's
So they fit in
it's
being
all for
lovely.
you. Yeah.
And I don't think we have the right to go and do this to just anybody. I think we just have to keep sending out the message and seeing who comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I don't think we have a right to inflict this on anybody.
No.
This really is. Just watch that YouTube video and see what you think.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't come back, bloody leave them alone.
Well, we've said this before, haven't we? Look at the this so-called. I don't know what to call it anymore. I don't like the word the awakening, the truth movement.
Let's
all
just
this.
go.
Let's
just go with the alternative gang.
Alternative
I'm
gang.
okay with that.
Is and I've said it before, the amount of people that we need on board to and those people are the university professors, the doctors, the nurses, the judges, your local council.
But you know why we haven't got any there?
how many people are that are in those positions aren't
Because
on board with this?
They're supporting the illusion.
Exactly. That is
Even though most of them don't know they're supporting the
They
illusion.
are- they-
But as they get towards the they bloody well know.
they are going to say
But they speak in different languages to what we have at our end here.
Yeah.
We bitch and moan and groan and whine and carry on, and we invent new systems that can never exist because 7 people are listening. Right? We have this fairy tale childish-like way of shouting at mummy and daddy. Those above us, they have to know. They know they have to speak differently to communicate. Now, Ken Robinson, that was his name, wasn't it?
Ken Robinson,
We watched Ken
yes.
Robinson. He's on my
Thank you.
Facebook page. It's a TED Talk. Oh, it's a TED Talk. It would be bad. See what I mean? See how this works so well? Intelligent people, right, know more than we do. And are they all bad? I don't know. But I know they can't possibly be all bad. We need to connect with people smarter than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know those that perhaps don't match up with what we're thinking? Leave them.
Yeah.
Leave them alone. Because they ain't for us.
I do know there's I can't remember. There's a lady, I won't mention her name. But is she a paramedic? There is a paramedic that listens on a regular basis, isn't there? So thank you to you. And so I'm just correcting myself there.
We've got
I'm just correcting myself.
We've got 230 subscribers.
Yes.
Now, I think that is brilliant.
It's not bad, is it?
Because nothing that I've heard talks like we do.
Oh.
Nothing actually pokes the listener in the eye and says, hey, take some responsibility. Come on, take a little bit on the chin here.
Yeah.
Come on, admit you didn't read the rules. You didn't read the terms and conditions. You did follow the herd. You did flock to everything that you thought was groovy.
Yeah.
You know, if you're still wearing a T-shirt that's got the name of the company that wants you to advertise them on the front, you should see by now that you are fooled. You're still being fooled.
Yeah.
The very corporation that made the T-shirt, that called it designer, that asked you to pay 3 times as much as the one that didn't have any logo on the front. Right, the one that didn't have the logo on the front of them,
Yeah.
right, is 3 times, is a third of the price of the one that does have them on the front. So you advertise them and pay 3 times more for it. Think of the genius that did that. Think of how clever and how simply ridiculous that sounds when you take a step back.
Yeah. And you have to take a few steps back, don't you, to see the bigger picture.
Well, if you're still in front of the door of a house and you're asked to describe a house, it's a door. If you take 2 steps back, you see the windows. Take another 2 steps back, you see the upstairs windows. Then you see the house. Then you see the chimney. Then you see the fence and the garden. Then you see the path and the estate. You got to keep stepping backwards.
But moving forwards as well, you can.
Rock and roll, man.
Yeah, it is.
This is a hell of a rock.
Yeah.
It rocks your boat, but you got to roll forward.
You have.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Or is it a big boulder that you're heaving uphill? That's rock and roll.
It is. Yeah.
All these decodes that perhaps other people are telling you are all correct. All of them. There's not just one. There is a decode for every level you are at. And they are right at the time that it makes sense to you. And as you move along, you understand how it's right at the time that you've met this now.
Yeah.
Soul trader.
Yeah. Yes.
Soul trader.
Which is what I am. Yes.
You see,
I take all the risk.
are we all prostitutes?
Yes.
We are, aren't we? It's just what you'll do for the money.
Yes.
We don't ever see it fully for what it is.
Nope.
Constitution, substitution, institution, destitution. It's not by mistake, is it?
It isn't. No. No.
If you change the U and the I around in institution, you get tuition. It's up to us.
It is.
We have the best tool we've ever been given. And I am convinced, right? I know it's a spy who doesn't love me. I know it's a time-stealing machine. And I know all the bad points from it. But, as you've said before, we don't use it properly. Take what you need, but don't give it everything you've got.
No. No.
You know, if you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to worry about.
Yes.
Have you? Nothing to worry about at all. So leave your curtains open, leave your door open, don't seal your letters down, don't password your computer, don't password your phone, and let me have a look at your emails.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
And how much have you got in your bank?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're giving it all away, which
Yeah.
is why we can never win this way. Using the internet, we can never win, because that's reacting. The internet will not be our saviour. This is the angel of light, because it's delivered by light. It's delivered by fibre optic cable,
Yep.
which does it at light speed, using light to transfer information. Just like it's always been. I often wonder, you know, the zodiacs. The zodiacs have been around forever.
They have.
Every civilization throughout written history has always had the same zodiac.
They have.
Where'd they get it from? How come they all figured out the same zodiac? How come they all use the same hieroglyphics, the same representations? Yeah, how come?
They copied Stonehenge.
That was only built in the 50s. I've seen the YouTube video.
All right. They built it in the 50s, did they?
Let me tell you. The further you go back in history, the less likely it is. But it leave it at that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it for what it is. It's stories for what you enjoy.
It certainly is.
But there is something about the zodiacs, and or what we call the star signs today, or your scope of horror, as you've described it. And there is something about that perhaps most people might dismiss, but yet still read the stars. And when you look at the character assessments of each group of the groups of 12 there is, and obviously you look at we start with Capricorn, and then we go, I can't remember, is it Capricorn,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and
Aquarius, Pisces? It's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, I can't remember. Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, is it Gemini, Cancer, Virgo,
Libra, is it?
Libra, is it?
Yeah.
Scorpio, Sagittarius. I probably missed one out there somewhere, but never mind. Leo, I missed Leo out. Missed Leo out. Anyway, the actual character traits that were attributed to those 12 star signs can mostly be found in those people born at that time. So you have to ask yourself, how can that be? How can that be that the traits of a Cancer and a Pisces they're not always correct in all circumstances, but they're more often appropriate for that person? I just wonder where the light information comes from. It's come from where it's always come from.
Yes.
Big bloody yellow thing in the sky.
Oh, not the Sun newspaper then.
That does come every morning, though.
Does, yeah.
It does come every morning. Everything has been counterfeited.
It certainly has.
Everything, the messages, all information is contained in light and water. Which is why the sun and the sea is always the reds and blues that we actually see today. Light and water is the way that this place communicates.
Yeah.
It's the way that we communicate now, and it's what we're made of.
Yeah.
You and I are sat here, a correct and perfect representation of everything that is contained on the planet Earth.
It is,
percentage-wise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything it's made of is actually in the same amount in us, percentage-wise.
Yeah.
You don't get to ask those questions and get them answered, do you?
No.
You don't get to say, like, tonight we've got a perfect full moon.
It's absolutely perfect full moon tonight.
Perfect full moon.
Yeah.
2,160 miles across. The exact length of an age.
Yep.
The word we use in age. 27.3 days to do its circle and reappear again as a full moon.
And is it 1/400th of the size of the sun or something?
Well, that 27.3 days actually coincides with the girl's menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
It was lunacy and lunatic.
Yep.
Moon sickness, moon illness. You are right, it's 400 times smaller than the sun.
Yep.
And luckily it's 400 times closer.
Yes.
So it looks exactly the same size. Not nearly exactly the same size.
And you could stamp your staff and say, I will put out the sun.
There's much to know.
There is much to know, yeah.
Much to know.
Yes.
But for another Tuesday. We're playing out. We played in with Cloud Atlas. And we're playing out with Cloud Atlas as well. My name's Paul.
Mine's Andy.
This has been the Unpenned Show. Our Facebooks are below this YouTube video. And my thanks for listening. Good night.
Cheers for listening.
I've come to say goodbye.
Goodbye? Where are you going?
We're moving back east to work with the abolitionists.
What? That poison has rotted your brain?
Oh, if it has, I highly recommend it. I've not felt this good in years.
Zelda, I forbid you from going anywhere with this madman.
I've been afraid of you my whole life, Father. I'm going with my husband.
Adam.
Listen to me. For the sake of my grandson, if not your own, there is a natural order to this world, and those who try to upend it do not fare well. This movement will never survive. If you join them, you and your entire family will be shunned. At best, you'll exist as pariah, to be spat on and beaten. At worst, lynched or crucified. matter what you do, it will never amount to anything more than a single drop in a limitless ocean.
What is an ocean but a multitude of drops?
We're not giving up, though.